You're standing in line at a coffee shop when it happens. Someone asks you, "How are you?" And without thinking you say it, "Fine, good, busy, but good." But inside you're not fine. You're exhausted, you're overwhelmed. Maybe you're grieving or scared or just deeply uncertain about life. But you don't say that. You say good, because good is safe. Good doesn't make people uncomfortable. Good doesn't invite pity or judgment. And yet the moment the word leaves your lips, you feel it. A quiet, aching loneliness, like you've just betrayed yourself. We are the most connected generation in history, and yet we've never felt more alone. We have thousands of friends online, but hesitate to call someone when we're falling apart. We broadcast highlight reels of our lives, but hide our struggles in the shadows. We crave deep connection, but armor up against vulnerability, terrified that if people really knew us, our fears, our failures, our messy, unfiltered selves, they'd turn away. Brené Brown, a researcher who spent decades studying vulnerability, uncovered a devastating truth. We numb vulnerability, but in doing so, we numb joy, love, belonging. We cannot selectively numb emotion. Think about the last time you laughed off pain with "It's fine, I'm fine" when you were crumbling inside. Scrolled through social media comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. Said "I don't need help" when you were drowning. These aren't just habits. They're survival strategies. Ways to shield ourselves from the terrifying uncertainty of being truly seen. But here's the catch. The armor that protects us also isolates us. The more we pretend, the more disconnected we become. From others, from ourselves, from the raw, beautiful mess of being human. Ask yourself, when was the last time you let someone see you cry? When was the last time you admitted "I don't know" or "I'm scared" without immediately backtracking? What would happen if you showed up as your real, unfiltered self, not the curated version? The fear is real. Rejection hurts. Judgment stings. But what hurts more? The slow suffocation of a life half-lived, where you're loved but not known. So here's the question that changes everything. What if vulnerability isn't weakness, but the only path to true connection? What if the things we're most afraid to say are the very things that would set us free? Brené Brown's research reveals a shocking truth. The people who live wholeheartedly, who love deeply, create boldly, and belong fully, aren't the ones who never feel fear. They're the ones who feel it and choose courage anyway. This isn't about oversharing or dumping your pain on strangers. It's about the quiet revolution of showing up, fully, unapologetically human, and discovering that the very parts of yourself you've been hiding are the ones that make you unforgettable. The journey begins where fear meets freedom, and that is where we must go next. You were taught to be strong before you could spell the word. As a child, you fell off your bike, scraped your knee, and heard, "Don't cry, shake it off." In school, you swallowed anxiety before exams because nervous is for weak people. Now, as an adult, you wear "I've got this" like armor even when you're drowning. This is the cult of invulnerability, a cultural dogma that equates emotional exposure with failure. Brené Brown's research reveals the devastating irony. Vulnerability is the first thing I look for in you, but the last thing I want to show you in me. We believe in the 3 lies. 1. Vulnerability is weakness. Neurological truth is when we risk emotional exposure, our brain triggers the same threat response as physical danger. And there's historical distortion. Ancient Stoics like Marcus Aurelius preached emotional resilience, not repression. Yet modern culture twisted this into emotional shutdown. 2. I can outsmart shame. That's psychological trap. Shame thrives in secrecy. The more we hide our struggles, the more power they wield. Brown's finding: shame cannot survive being spoken. 3. I'll be vulnerable when I'm ready. That's perfection paradox. We wait until we're healed enough to be real, creating a catch-22 where authenticity never comes. Society mass-produces emotional barriers like performative perfectionism, Instagram versus reality, hustle culture, I'll rest when I'm dead, toxic positivity, good vibes only. These aren't personal failings. They're systemic coping mechanisms for a world that pays you for productivity, not presence, rewards curated personas over authentic selves, treats emotional depth as unprofessional. Carl Jung warned, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Yet here we are, building higher walls while complaining no one sees us. When you suppress vulnerability, your brain treats emotional risk like physical threat. Your body stores unexpressed stress as inflammation. Your relationships become transactional rather than transformative. Brown's research uncovered the most compassionate people are also the most boundaried. This shatters the myth. True strength isn't armor, it's discernment. We've inherited intergenerational trauma. Like the boomers taught, don't air dirty laundry, and Gen X learned, suck it up. Millennial Zoomers now swing between oversharing and emotional lockdown. Philosopher Martin Buber described the result, the I-it relationship, where people become objects rather than souls. Here's what no one tells you. Your armor has an expiration date. The same walls that protect you eventually imprison you. The masks that earn approval slowly erase you. Brown's team found vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. Which means every time you avoid it, you're not just protecting yourself, you're robbing the world of your potential. The question isn't, can I afford to be vulnerable? It's, can I afford to keep living like this? You wake at 3 a.m., heart pounding. Not from nightmares, but from the terror of being found out, that someone will discover you're faking confidence at work. Your marriage isn't aligned with #couple goals. You have no idea what you're doing as a parent. This isn't imposter syndrome. It's the inevitable collapse of a divided self. Brené Brown's research reveals the hidden cost. We cannot love ourselves unless we are known, and we cannot be known unless we show up. Let me show you the 3 silent epidemics. First is the belonging paradox. Neuroscience shows social exclusion activates the same brain regions as physical pain. Yet we isolate ourselves preemptively, rejecting others before they can reject us. Brown's finding is that true belonging only happens when we present our authentic selves. Second is the creativity drought. Harvard study shows that 72% of breakthrough ideas come from vulnerable collaboration. But fear of judgment keeps us regurgitating safe, mediocre work. Result, a world starved of original thought. And third, the leadership crisis. Employees rate vulnerable leaders as 5x more trustworthy, yet corporate culture rewards bulletproof personas. The fallout is 82% of workers feel emotionally disconnected at work. The most dangerous part is that the body keeps score. Unprocessed vulnerability manifests physically. You get chronic fatigue from emotional labor, mystery aches from stored shame, and insomnia, representing the mind's rebellion against inauthenticity. Dr. Gabor Mate's research proves that the refusal to feel becomes pathology. Your body will force a reckoning through illness, breakdowns, or that 3 a.m. panic. Also, watch any child. Ages 3, falls, cries openly, moves on. Age 7, glances around before crying. Age 12, laughs it off while bleeding. We're training humans out of humanity. Brown's warning, we cannot give children what we don't have. The vulnerability deficit becomes an inheritance. It's equally scary, like a digital mirage. Social media engineered the perfect vulnerability bypass, having likes as synthetic connection, having filters as emotional armor, having close friends' stories as controlled vulnerability. Neuroscientists found that 10 minutes of scrolling increases anxiety by 21%, yet we return compulsively, starving for connection while fearing it. This isn't sustainable, do you understand that? Every masked interaction is a withdrawal from your emotional bank account. Eventually, through affairs, breakdowns, or quiet despair, the truth erupts. Brown's research reveals the turning point where our brokenness is the crack where the light gets in. But first, we must stop mistaking survival for living. Here comes the reckoning, the moment of unraveling. You're mid-conversation when it happens. Your throat tightens, your vision blurs. The words "I'm struggling" claw at your ribs, begging for release. But your lips form "I'm fine" on autopilot. This is the crossroads. Brené Brown's research shows us that vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome. Your protection mechanisms likely include perfectionism, the lie that says if I'm flawless, I'm safe. The cost of that is paralysis by analysis. 87% of perfectionists procrastinate. Then numbing, the rituals of scrolling, drinking, overworking. The irony of it is that you numb pain but also joy. We cannot selectively numb emotion, Brown's finding. And then comes foreboding joy. The reflex that sounds like, "This is too good. When will it end?" That's pure theft. You're robbing yourself of present moment bliss. Now we are diving in Brown's framework for wholehearted living. First, permission slips. Write down, "I give myself permission to need help, to not know, to be imperfect." Carry it like a talisman against shame. Second, the vulnerability audit. Track for 1 week, when you armor up, what you're protecting, the cost of that protection. Third, SFD recognition. Name your shitty first drafts, the catastrophic stories you tell yourself. "They'll think I'm incompetent. I'm afraid my worth is conditional." Fourth, gremlin naming. Personify your inner critic, for example, Bertha the bully. Disarm it with humor. "Oh look, Bertha's threatened again." Start small, but start now. In conversations, replace "fine" with "honestly, I'm." At work, try "I don't know, let's figure it out together." With kids, model emotional literacy. "Mommy feels frustrated right now." Neuroscience shows that each courageous act rewires your brain's threat response. Brown's crucial insight is that the most vulnerable people have the strongest boundaries. Here is how to set them. 1. The sentence stem. I'm learning to honor my need for rest, help, quiet. 2. The non-negotiable. Identify one daily act of self-care that's non-debatable. 3. The bounce test. If this person said no, would I still respect them? If yes, the ask is brave. If no, it's people-pleasing. Let's make the daily practice. In the morning, ask, what armor do I usually wear? What one piece can I remove today? In the evening, ask, when was I brave today? When did I hide? No judgment, just noticing. This is your invitation. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about coming home to who you've always been beneath the armor. As Brown says, vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. So what's the final revelation? Your greatest protection isn't armor, it's authenticity. So there you are, standing naked before the mirror. Not just physically, but emotionally exposed. The reflection shows every scar, every stretch mark of experience, every shadow of shame you've carried. And then something unexpected happens. You don't look away. This is the moment Brené Brown describes as the birthplace of true belonging. Science now confirms what ancient wisdom traditions knew. Brain scans show that after emotional risk-taking, the prefrontal cortex, also called rational mind, syncs with the limbic system, so-called emotional center. And biological result is the fewer stress hormones, the more oxytocin. The ripple effect. When one person shares vulnerably, it gives permission slips to others. Your courage becomes contagious. Brown's data shows that 87% of feared rejections never happen. And of the 13% that do, 100% become growth accelerators. Your greatest wounds become your greatest gifts when shame stories transform into connection bridges, when failures become teaching tools, when weaknesses reveal unexpected strengths. As Brown discovered, vulnerability is the only bridge to build meaningful connections. This isn't one and done, it's a practice. Your morning invitation question is, where will I choose courage over comfort today? Your evening examination questions are, what armor did I remove? What truth did I tell? And your nighttime surrender should sound like this: I am enough, not despite my imperfections, but because of them. The world doesn't need more perfection. It needs your messy first drafts, your shaky but sincere apologies, your awkward but authentic attempts. As Brown puts it, you either walk inside your story and own it, or you stand outside your story and hustle for your worthiness. So this is the last truth. Vulnerability isn't the absence of armor. It's the revolutionary act of choosing discomfort over disconnection, truth over performance, real love over cheap approval. Your broken open heart isn't a liability. It's the only thing that makes you worth knowing. Now go live, all in. Thank you for staying.